Alenia Space, Astra 1P is the most powerful wide-beam satellite ever to broadcast from SES's prime orbital slot at 19.2 degrees east, with a sole mission to deliver superior TV viewing experiences to 190 million TV households across Germany, France, Spain, and beyond. With superior reliability, wide reach, and unparalleled image quality, public and private broadcasters, sports organizations, and content owners can rely on Astra 1P to reach their audiences across Europe.
I'm super excited that you joined us for this launch of Astra 1P. Astra 1P will replace 4 existing satellites and seamlessly take over their mission of delivering prime content to 119 million TV households across Europe. That is more than 300 million people. This satellite will serve some of our largest media customers like Sky, Canal+, Telefonica, and RTL to deliver the valued, high-quality content to their customers. And it will also address the growing demand of sports and events, so that customers like NFL and various football leagues can easily distribute their content across Europe. And of course, Astra 1P will also ensure the delivery of high-definition content directly to our subscribers of HD Plus Business, which is the high-definition satellite TV platform in Germany. Let's go ahead and see this launch.
We're currently at T-minus 5 minutes and 16 seconds. Falcon 9 is tracking no issues, and the payload is healthy. The vehicle has been loading propellant since T-minus 35 minutes, and that will complete at T-minus 2 minutes. The range is ready to support, and weather is still looking good. If for some reason we are unable to launch today, we have a backup window opportunity tomorrow at the same time.
Are pressurizing for strong back retract.
As we heard there, the strong back retraction is beginning, sequence will begin shortly. We'll begin by opening the clamps that you see there on your screen just below the payload fairing. Following that, once the clamp arms are fully open, the strong back will begin to retract away, just a couple degrees away from the rocket.
Strong back retract has started.
We can see opening now. While we retract the TE just a couple degrees at this point, at T-minus 0, the ground hydraulic systems will pull the TE away even further from Falcon 9 as it lifts off. The first stage is connected to a launch mount at the base of the TE, but the structure is hinged and, as you can see, retracts away from the vehicle in preparation for launch. We sometimes refer to it as the strong back, and it does a lot of heavy lifting in the lead up to launch. We use the TE to roll out the rocket to the pad and raise it to its vertical launch position. It's also what we use to route the vehicle's fluids, power, and telemetry umbilicals from the ground systems to the rocket and the payload until Falcon 9 switches to internal power and clears the pad. At this point in the countdown, both the first and second stages are nearly fully loaded with 1 million pounds of kerosene fuel and liquid oxygen.
Stage 1, Pogo.
First stage is finishing up its LOX load
Stage
now.
Stage 1, LOX load complete.
And there we just heard the call out that is now complete. We expect to hear that second stage LOX load is complete at T-minus 2 minutes. The white clouds that we'll begin to see around the vehicle is the chilled gas, which is above the LOX tank, and we vent that overboard to maintain the vehicle pressure in the tank as needed. And when that vented oxygen comes out into the air, the humid Florida air condenses into clouds and water. We're standing by now for second stage propellant loading completion.
Stage 2, LOX load complete.
And with that call out, Falcon 9 is now fully loaded with nearly 1 million pounds of propellants. Now at T-minus 60 seconds, we'll hear the call out that Falcon 9 is in startup. This means that the rocket's autonomous internal flight computers have taken over the launch countdown. Just inside T-minus 2 seconds, we light...
Ground gas closeouts.
Inside T-minus 2 seconds, we light the M1D engines for liftoff. The Astra 1P satellite continues to be healthy, and the Falcon 9 team still tracking no issues on the rocket. Weather still looking green, a beautiful day in fact, and the range is ready to support our T0 of 5:35 p.m. Eastern Time.
Falcon 9 is in startup.
At this point in time, Stage 1 and Stage 2 are beginning to pressurize for launch.
Go for launch.
And there we just heard our launch director give the final go for launch tonight. We're currently at T-minus 35 seconds, and all systems are go for launch of Falcon 9 with the Astra 1P satellite. Let's listen in on the final moments of the launch countdown.
T-minus 15. T-minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ignition. And lift off. Go SpaceX, go Astra 1P.
All right, everybody. Drop a D here, and we have liftoff of the Astra 1D aboard the SpaceX. There's a Falcon 9 booster 1080 lead from Slick 40 at Cape Canaveral.
We're at T-minus 30, or excuse me, T-plus 33 seconds and counting. Falcon 9 has successfully lifted off from Space Launch Complex 40, carrying the Astra 1P satellite. After clearing the tower, we tilted or gimbaled the engines to initiate a roll maneuver.
Power and telemetry nominal.
And you may notice that in the Stage 1 camera view. This enables the vehicle's antennas to stay in the best position for communicating with the ground. In just a few seconds, we're going to be throttling down the engines in preparation for max Q, which stands for the maximum moment of maximum aerodynamic pressure.
Max Q.
And there we heard that call out. As Falcon 9 accelerates through the thicker lower atmosphere, that air density decreases. Falcon 9 passes max Q once the air density lowers faster than the increasing speed of the vehicle. You can keep your eye on the Stage 1 telemetry there in the bottom left-hand side of your screen, and keep an eye on those speed changes through ascent. Now, the rocket typically needs to go 17,500 miles per hour horizontally in order to avoid being pulled back down to Earth and therefore get into orbit. In about 30 seconds, we're going to have 3 events coming up that will happen all in succession quite quickly, starting with main engine cutoff, followed by stage separation and second engine start 1, or SES-1, not to be confused with today's customer, SES. As the name suggests, main engine cutoff is where we shut down all 9 M1D engines on the first stage. Beautiful views coming from the Stage 1 booster. Coming up on MECO now.
Main engine cutoff.
Stage separation confirmed.
MVAC ignition.
And there you heard and saw those events happening back to back. The next event we have coming up is fairing separation. We will attempt to retrieve, we will be attempting to retrieve these fairing halves once again as they fall back to Earth, and we will do so with our recovery vessel, Bob. As a reminder, Astra 1P, our payload today, is a wide-beam broadcasting satellite with 80 Ku band transponders for broadcasters and content owners across large TV markets in Germany, Spain, and France.
Fairing separation confirmed.
And there we just heard confirmation of that fairing separation, and perhaps you caught a peek of it as well. Actually, you can see one of those fairing halves falling away in the background behind the MVAC engine there on the right-hand side of your screen.
Nominal trajectory.
Now the next event we have coming up around T plus 6.5 minutes will be the first stage entry burn. That will be conducted by the booster, which is the left-hand side view on your screen, and that will be the first of 2 burns that the first stage will perform in order to land back on Earth. You can see the first stage is actually still very slowly, but a little bit gaining slight altitude. Looks like it might be peaking right now. The first stage continues to do so for several moments after stage separation, and we can see there now that it is beginning to, it has reached its apogee and will begin to see the altitude decrease, meaning it was beginning its return back to Earth. Everything continues to look nominal for the second stage on the right-hand side of your screen. A gorgeous daylight view of planet Earth behind that MVAC engine. To start the entry burn, we will relight 3 M1D engines, which is similar to pumping the brakes in order to slow the vehicle down as it passes back into the Earth's atmosphere. The entry burn actually helps to reduce the heat generated from the friction of the atmosphere itself and reduces the aerodynamic forces that are acting on Falcon, which in turn helps maintain controlled flight and prepare for the landing burn. Less than a minute until that entry burn. Now, during that entry burn, Falcon 9 is decelerating by firing its Merlin engines, as I said, but still obviously moving very fast. This causes the vehicle to fly through the exhaust gas of the Merlin engines, and that deposits a layer of soot on the vehicle's surface. That soot comes from the carbon-based fuel that Falcon 9 uses, and with each flight, the soot builds up a little bit more on the outside of the vehicle. That's why some of the reused boosters have a little bit more color on them than the newer ones that are still have a...
Stage 1 FTS has saved.
Then the newer
Stage 1 entry burn startup.
And there we can see on the left-hand side of your screen that entry burn has begun. We can see that speed really decelerating now on the left-hand, in the bottom left-hand corner of your screen. Again, this is the first stage and is the first of 2 burns that it will execute in this landing maneuver.
Entry burn shut down.
There we can see and heard that entry burn has concluded, and we can see how those grid fins help steer the vehicle for a precise landing. Once again, we are targeting our drone ship, which is currently parked in the Atlantic Ocean. And the drone ship we're using today is Just Read the Instructions. Less than a minute for landing of the first stage booster. Everything continues to look great for the second stage, carrying the Astra 1P satellite. Right around the same time that we're performing that landing burn on the first stage, that call out tells us that the first stage is traveling near the speed of sound. Now, right around the same time as the landing burn, we're going to hear a call out for MVAC shutdown, or SECO, second engine cutoff 1.
Stage 2 FTS has safed.
Terminal guidance.
It looks like we have a pretty clear view of the targeted landing area, so if you look closely, you might be able to see our drone ship come into view.
Stage 1 landing burn.
There we can see the drone ship in picture. Landing burn initiated.
And back shutdown.
Landing leg deploy. Stage 1 landing confirmed.
An incredible view from 2 different angles. As you can see, Falcon 9 has landed once again, marking our 320th successful landing of an orbital class rocket, including first stage landings for Falcon 9 and Falcon Heavy. It's also the 250th time that we've recovered a booster on a drone ship. Pretty cool. Now, while all of that excitement was happening, we also had great news on the second stage. We heard confirmation of SECO 1, and we also heard confirmation of good orbit. So that tells us that we've got nominal orbital insertion. At this point, we're going to go into a coast phase, and it will last about 18 minutes. When we return, we'll have a handful of events happening, starting with second engine start 2 and second engine cutoff 2. And those events will be followed by a 7-minute coast. And finally, payload deploy around T plus 35 minutes, just before T plus 35 minutes, in fact. So stick around and enjoy some space tunes in the meanwhile.
All right, folks. Papa D here. Just trying to get all the gadgets and gizmos lined up here, but we did just see the launch, another launch from SpaceX, and that was a picture-perfect launch and landing of that booster, and was on, just read the instructions. Landed there after being launched from Cape Canaveral, Slick 40. And there we go. All kinds of stuff going on back here in Florida. But I want to just say hello, and we're going to stay with the coverage here. Going to switch back over as soon as they cut back with us, a little bit sooner than that. But a couple pieces of news I wanted to pass along. I know you guys have already heard it. A couple things. Number one is the Starship launch may be potentially scheduled here for sometime in mid-July. That would be Starship Test Flight 5. And from what we're being told from Elon, it's a possibility that may be a catch situation where they will try to catch the booster on the chopsticks down in Boca Chica. Be an exciting thing, but we don't have a definitive date yet. We believe everything has been cleared by the FAA, and we should be good to go. But just waiting for a definitive date, time, and T0. So looking forward to that. Another item of interest to a lot of people that follow SpaceX and the Starlink system. SpaceX announced a couple of days ago, I guess, plus some more information came out after that, that the Starlink mini terminal was imminent, would be coming out, which we see as a game changer. The Starlink mini is about the size, the antenna portion, it's about the size of a laptop. They're talking about 9 inches and change by 12 inches and change. Something small enough to be carried in a backpack, has a built-in router. Also, they're talking that it is a AC power and DC power, so you'd be able to run this thing in the middle of nowhere off a small battery pack. That was the big news, along with initially price point that would be half of what the current Starlink system costs, which right now is around $599, $499 depending where you are, and a service plan that would be very well priced and allow the system to be shut down as you needed it shut down when you needed it. It would make for a great emergency system also. Just heard as of today, though, that's changed quite a bit. We're being told, or we're hearing that the initial price point was off by a bit. Instead of being maybe half of a Starlink system that you can get today, it looks like it's going to be $100 more than a Starlink system. And that was the price point that was published to those people that already have Starlink that are given the option to do a pre-launch, no pun intended, of the new system, of the mini system. And we're also being told that the price point isn't exactly on the plans. Comes out to be not as much data available, and then you'd be paying $1 a gig. Again, this is from information received in a couple reports today. So the good news is that Starlink Mini is out there. The bad news is that it may not be as cheap and as cost-effective as we all had thought and hoped. But we're going to keep our eyes open. It is not available yet to the general public. If you go out to the website, it is not out there. It is showing up on the app that if you had it, you could configure it. But as far as availability, it's not there. And we're also looking at Amazon having their own version, of course, of Starlink with a mini-type unit. No definitive information on that nor price point, but we'll keep an eye on that also. It's a real game changer. If somebody can put out, especially with the Starlink constellation being what it is, something that is that small, that portable, and that cost-effective, or potentially cost-effective, that it would be truly a game changer for your campers and boaters and backpackers and just the people who want to have a system in their closet like we would want here in Florida during the hurricane season. It would certainly be a real game changer there to have the ability to have communications and internet in the event that we have another storm go through, or bad storm, and eventually that will happen. So we'll keep a close eye on that. But those are the couple big issues, along with the big issue, which is Starliner. We continue to talk about Starliner. Starliner's still at the ISS. For those of you that have been taking a long nap and not paid attention, I believe we are up to the 26th as a potential undocking date. It had moved a couple times, moved to the 25th. It's right now they are still trying to work out the problems and the glitches that have come up with respect to the helium leaks, which we believe number 5, I think, at this point. So we are waiting for more definitive information there, but most recent information is that it'll be next week. Be a longer duration mission than they planned on, but safety first. They've got to get that machine working and working perfectly. There are concerns about the heat shield. There are concerns also about the parachute system. Even though everything has been tested, retested, and double-checked and triple-checked, there are still concerns about that, and they are going to make sure, they being Boeing and NASA, that they do everything they can to make sure those astronauts get back safe and sound. There's also been reporting in the news that there is thoughts, and again, we all think who may have to come to the rescue if that ship cannot perform its complete mission and bring those astronauts back either at all or safely. So we'll keep our ears to the ground for that, whether or not it becomes necessary for we would term it a rescue mission, but not truly a rescue mission. They are safe. They are safe and sound and working hard. I know both astronauts are providing additional help to the space station team, getting work done around there and getting a lot of the extra things done that an extra couple pairs of hands would come in handy with. So we will get more information on that, but it looks like the earliest undocking will be next week. And as soon as the date gets locked down and NASA puts out a little bit more information on that, we'll be sure to get that to you. But a lot of other big news items, but those are the big three regarding our favorite satellite internet provider and our favorite heavy launch vehicle that we can't wait to see lift off and land for the first time on land. And we, again, will keep a close eye on Boeing and NASA and hope that that problem can be resolved quickly and safely so everybody can get home either on one ship or another. So with that, I'm going to stand by here. I'm going to say thank you again, as I always do, to SpaceX for the awesome coverage. I had a little technical issue on the front end. It had to jump right into the feed. But we're excited and happy that SpaceX is always there to provide that, so we can bring that to our subscribers and help educate everyone and entertain you with something that never gets old. I'd like to also thank our subscribers. We've seen a pretty good-sized jump in the last few days. It's exciting to see that a lot of you all are finding your way to Papa D, and we are very, very happy to be able to bring you all as much of the coverage, as much of the live feeds as we possibly can. There's a lot going on. It's been a little bit of a slow week. I want to check here if anything has changed on our manifest for the week. But, Astra, we're waiting for that to come back. We've got a Starlink Group 10-2 scheduled for Sunday at 1:03 in the afternoon, and a Starlink Group 9-2, the first being 10-2, of course, coming out of the Cape, 9-2 coming out of Vandenberg. That'll be Sunday also at 11:45 p.m. So we do have a double header potentially, East Coast, West Coast. So looking forward to that. We'll keep those updated on the page. We'll get that up there so you can hit that notify button and be able to catch that as soon as it goes live. But I digress slightly. Again, we've had a big jump in our subscribers, and we're very appreciative for that. Appreciate you guys. Keep on watching them videos, like them videos, hit the notify button, subscribe. If you're not a subscriber, we'd love to have you be a member of the team and a member of our family here at David Delivers Space. We've got a lot of big things coming up. Got a big summer of launches going on. The cadence on Starship will be picking up, and we're going to be all over watching that. And as a side issue, I'm a big Falcon Heavy fan. We do have a Falcon Heavy launch on the 25th. Can't forget about that. That's going to be the Goes You Falcon Heavy on the 25th at 5:16 p.m. You can mark your calendar on that. And again, we'll have that up on the channel. You can hit the notify button. But we're going to stand by here for a few minutes. We're about 21 minutes out from the launch, and we will pick up the coverage with SpaceX as soon as it hits our wire here. But thanks again to all. Thanks again to SpaceX. And we'll be back after the release of the satellite and wrap it up and then get ready for the next launch. Thank you, folks. Be back shortly. Hey folks, Papa D here again. Just for those of you joining in, we've had a successful launch from Slick 40 just a few minutes ago, about 26 minutes ago to be exact. And that was a picture-perfect launch of a Falcon 9 for the Astra 1P mission. Right now, by the way, booster 1080, which was Flight 9. Forgot to mention that earlier. We are waiting now, as you can see, second engine startup 2, MECO, and then release of the satellite. So we're standing by for that.
Just recently joined, we had an on-time liftoff of 5:35 p.m. Eastern Time from Cape Canaveral Space Force Station, and is followed by a successful stage separation about 2.5 minutes into launch. As you can see, the second engine has reignited for its second ignition, or SES-2, second engine start 2. You can see that the speed is once again increasing, as well as the altitude, following along with the stage 2 telemetry GUI on the bottom right-hand side of your screen. This will last another few seconds. This was just a short 1-minute burn of the MVAC engine. Standing by for SECO 2, second engine cutoff 2.
Good orbit insertion.
All right. As you can see on your screen, we did have successful cutoff of that MVAC engine, and we also heard the call out there for a good orbit. Right now, we are going to await the final milestone for today's mission, of course, spacecraft separation. We're going to go into another short 7-minute coast, and for now, we will see you back here at T plus 34 minutes for deployment of Astra 1P.
All right, friends. As you have been hearing, again, thank you to SpaceX for the great video and the great commentary. We're just a few minutes out from release of the Astra 1P SES-24 television satellite. Right now it is in a coasting stage for a bit, a few more minutes, and then we should see the release. We did have a successful launch, on time as readjusted. We saw booster 1080, its 9th flight, 29-day turnaround, takeoff from Slick 40 out of Cape Canaveral, land where another pinpoint landing on just read the instructions, just off the coast of Florida, of course. Everything went without a hitch there. The second stage boosted to its parking orbit, where it is awaiting in the next few minutes, again, the release of the Astra 1P satellite. And for those who've come in late, that is a private launch. This is a television satellite, pardon me, that will support SES's Prime TV public broadcasting across Germany, France, and Spain. The platform was developed by Thales Alenia Space, and we thank them again, along with SpaceX, for allowing us to ride along, so to speak. It's a single payload, one satellite, one very large satellite. The payload looks like, I'm just looking it up now to be certain, but it looks like the payload to orbit on this flight was just over 22,800 kilograms. So a sizable payload, a little bit costlier, more costlier than, of course, we get the estimates for the Starlink missions. Just under $70 million US, roughly, for this launch. A couple of specs for those space nerds like me. Liftoff thrust, 7,607 kilonewtons. Looks like the payload to LEO is 22.8, but the payload to geosynchronous orbit, which is the satellite itself, is 8,300 kilograms. So this hopefully will be a clean release. And at that point, the owner takes over. Mission complete, hopefully. But this is the 331st recovery attempt that was successful. And we'll move on to B-1080's 10th flight once it's refurbished, and we find out what that is going to be. But everything looked good for today so far. 60-second mission,
34 minutes
and we're coming on back with SpaceX.
Mission. Just before going into the coast phase, we had a successful second engine cutoff too, around 27.5 minutes into flight, and mission control confirmed good orbital insertion shortly after that. Right now, we are awaiting the final milestone for today's mission, spacecraft integration. As you can see, we have a partial view currently, but we hope to be able to see through and have visual confirmation of Astra 1P separation, but we'll definitely hear it called out on the nets. As a reminder, Astra 1P is a telecommunications satellite that will strengthen SES's TV coverage across Germany, Spain, and France.
SES-24 deploy confirmed.
All right. We saw slight visual confirmation, but definitely heard that call on the nets, telling us that we had a successful deployment of Astra 1P. All of us here at SpaceX would like to thank our customer SES for entrusting us with today's mission. We'd also like to thank the Range and Federal Aviation Administration for their support. If you're interested in more launch coverage, be sure to check spacex.com/launches for the most up-to-date information. And before we go, as many of you know, June is Pride Month and is a time to recognize, honor, and celebrate the contributions of those within the LGBTQ+ community. And yesterday was Juneteenth, a powerful day in American history that marks the emancipation of enslaved people in the United States. SpaceX celebrates both Pride and Juneteenth with our employees and our community. We'd like to wish everyone a happy Pride Month and a belated Juneteenth. That will conclude our webcast coverage of the Astra 1P mission. Thank you for tuning in, and see you next time.
All right, folks, and there you have it. We do have a successful launch of Astra 1P today, successful recovery of stage 1, and a successful deploy of the satellite, although we didn't get to see very much. Looks like the equipment, the connections, the heat blankets and whatnot were placed right there in front of the camera. But we did see the equipment bundle kind of jerk a little bit, and we had a verbal confirmation from the SpaceX command, mission control, that the launch or the deploy was successful. So at this point, I'm going to say good evening. Again, thank you to SpaceX. Thank you for everything they do to provide us the ability to bring the feeds to you. And thank you to Thales Alenia Space, the owner and operator of the payload. We will be back with another launch. We do have actually a long march that's coming up, a Chinese launch. Might not be able to have that, but we will come up with the Sunday at 1:03. We have a Starlink Group 10-2, as I said, out of the Cape, right here in Florida. We also have the same day, that evening at 11:45, a Starlink Group 999-2 coming out of Vandenberg. We've got a pretty wet week ahead of us and windy week ahead of us here. So hopefully we'll get through the week and it'll clear up a little bit for us for the launch on Sunday. But thanks again to SpaceX. Thank you to all the subscribers, all the new subscribers. We are blessed to have you, and we appreciate you for entrusting us with coming out and viewing these launches and listen to old Papa D here talk and talk and talk. But it's what I do. Sure beats mowing the lawn. But with that, if you're not a subscriber, please consider joining the team. I consider it to be a family, and we'd love to have you be part of the family. Hit that like button, hit that notify button, hit all those things, hit all those YouTube things. You would be amazed how much it helps get us out to where more people can enjoy the channel. And if you have a second and you're so inclined, pop on out to daviddeliverspace.store, S-T-O-R-E. We've got a great merch store there, reasonably priced stuff. Everything goes in to help support the cost of running the channel and buying bandwidth and all that stuff. So if you can, if you're so inclined, you want to support the channel, that's a great way to do it. Thanks again, folks. I'll say goodnight. We will see you again for the next Starlink launch Starlink launches on Sunday. Take care and have a great week.